County Board Member Betty Duncan to this meeting by phone signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. And Betty, you're welcome. I hope everything's going well for you. And
Thank you.
You recover, you pay attention to those doctors, and you recover and get back here as quickly as you can. Okay.
Thank you.
We have no minutes for this committee to approve for last month, and we're going to move on to our informational items. Brian, if you will help us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, you have our annual meeting minutes from April. Pretty routine for the month, as well as phase one of our first automation project at the treatment plant to replace a lot of critical PLCs and a new SCADA system to start to modernize the place. So happy to answer any questions. A little bit better. That's
Any questions for Brian? Huh? Jimmy's what?
Jimmy is on.
Do we have to prove him? Yeah. All right. Thanks, Brian. If there's no questions, we're going to do also accept Jimmy Dillon by phone. So we need a motion. Motion made by Sharon, seconded by Matt. All those in favor of accepting the county chairman of the board, Mr. Dillon, to our committee meeting, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those
Aye.
opposed? All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Jimmy, you're on. You're welcome. I hope you're doing well in your recovery, and rush back to us.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, we need Mark. Have you got anything?
Calvin's going to do it, actually.
Oh, Calvin going to do it? Okay, I'm sorry. Well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just some monthly updates per facility, starting with the jail. Cell sync conversion is still ongoing. The roof replacement there to jail and JDC is complete, except for JDC. They were short a couple of sheet metal pieces that they've got reordered. Once they get that in and put on, they'll be done. The ring road, it is immobilizing this week. They had a tentative start date this week, but pushed it back to next. So I believe it's June 3rd that they'll be starting the work there, with the parking lot starting first out of JDC and then moving to the ring road. The tuck pointing out to jail is 65% complete. The parking lot, the courthouse, the office service remodel has been completed, so Felicia has been moved into her new office. Probation, that will be coming up in resolution here shortly. The Main Street steps, we're still waiting on a response from our contractor. The remodel of the snack bar area, I've got 2 of the 3 quotes waiting on the 3rd. The Plaza Fountain, that is still in the works, being prepared to send out with the original budget is quite considerably less than our first quote, so that would be going out for our bid. Building exterior envelope, waiting responses for that. That is the cleaning of the windows, resealing, any tuck pointing needed there. And with the circuit clerks and treasurer's office order protection, is still on progress. I have no updates from last month. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Calvin?
I got one, Kelvin.
Yes.
You said about the Fountain Plaza. Are we doing away with that fountain area?
We are looking at getting it repaired when it needs to be done. The fountain itself, the concrete base to it, plus we're looking into all the plumbing that's going to be needed.
Yeah, because I've been told it's going to take a new pump and everything, right?
Yes.
Have you considered just doing away with that and redoing something?
That has been brought up. We wanted to give you options on what to do.
Okay.
As of now,
Sharon, could you ask this question? You turned away from us.
I just wanted to know if there was any additional information on the circuit clerk and the treasurer's remodel.
Now, I thought in our pre-meeting that, Scott, you said you were going to eventually meet with them. I didn't know when that meeting was going to be coming up.
So, correct, Mr. Chairman. I had a meeting with the architect late last week. They owe us a couple of things. I owe them a couple of things. So I would expect that I could provide a more detailed update in this week's weekly update or a separate communication to the board. So end of the week, early next week, I can give you more detail.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? All right, the next project, I didn't know whether Heather or Calvin was going to do this. Heather, are you going to handle this?
I neglected to bring my hard copy with me so I can look it up online if you have any questions, but it's just the recap of where we're at through May 16th for expenses, budget and expenses for all of the different many projects that we have going on here at the county for infrastructure. And then on the far right column is kind of a real brief update on the progress that we're at on each project.
Sharon.
Scott, can you give us an update on what the working group has been doing with the election commission, please?
Yes, Ms. Williams. So there is a closed session on the executive committee agenda for tomorrow afternoon that'll go into substantially more detail. But that work group, their work is complete. They're prepared to bring forward a recommendation to the executive committee on steps going forward. Happy to talk to any one of you individually offline about that. Additionally, as Chairman Dillon set up that work group, I was intended to be a portion at the very first steps. That was the case, and then I was to be extricated from the process, which did also occur. So the work that they've done in the last 6-8 weeks has been outside of my knowledge, other than what Chairman Dillon has shared with me and what Member Ricker has shared with me.
Any other questions for Heather? Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
All right, we have a number of resolutions, and the first one that we need a motion on has to do with project out west of town on Cameron Lane. Need a motion to put this on the floor. Motion by Danny Kelch, seconded by Matt.
The Highway Department has prepared a application through the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission to apply for federal funds to resurface Cameron Lane from 116 to Smithville Road. The project is currently estimated about $1.3 million. Our local match would be $254,000 if we were accepted for the funding. As part of the application, we have to provide a resolution of support that the board will pay the local share if we do receive the federal funds. So this is part of the application process.
Questions for Jeff? Being no questions, I'll call for a vote on this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. How about you two out there? Betty?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Betty and Jim. All right. All those opposed? All right. Vote was unanimous. Okay, moving on to the second resolution. Has to do with a project on Radnor Road, and we need a motion to get that on the floor. Motion by Terry, seconded by Sharon.
This is a similar project to Cameron Lane in that we are applying for money through Tri-County Regional Planning Commission for reconstruction of Radnor Road from Willow Knolls Road to basically the north section of Kellogg Golf Course. The project is $9.6 million currently estimated. It is a 70-30 match with Tri-County for this project, so our local match will be $2.9 million. Again, we need this resolution of support for part of the application process.
Anyone with a question in regards to this for Jeff?
One question, Jeff. Are they got the building costs for 2 years down the road building to this price?
That is the estimated.
Yeah, for 2 years down the
cost.
road.
Yes.
You're averaging a certain percentage each year. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the adoption of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Those on Betty and Dylan?
Aye.
Mr. Dylan?
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to our next resolution. And Amy is going to be up here to handle this for us, and we need a motion to get this on the floor. Motion by Mr. Kelch, seconded by Mr. Windisch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In 2023, funds were budgeted for a new chip spreader for the highway department, and this is used in our seal coating operation. Due to various delays, this piece of equipment was not purchased until 2024. The 2024 funds were used to purchase this piece of equipment. So this leaves less funds remaining in our 2024 budget for additional equipment. The request before you today is to use fund balance in the matching tax fund and the amount not used last year to be allowed to be appropriated for additional equipment in this year. It's a little confusing, but I hope I explained that. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any questions.
Questions to Amy? We got a good deal out of this? Okay. And if there's anything left over, the money goes back into the fund balance. Calling for a vote on this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Our fourth one has to do with, of course, that North Station that had some damage because of a storm. And so we need to put this resolution, motion by Sharon, seconded by Terry. And Jeff, you got it, okay.
Okay. So we held a bid letting for the replacement building at the North Station. Hine Construction was determined to be the lowest responsible bidder at a base bid of $410,000. We're making the recommendation to also add alternatives. Alternatives A4, which are the concrete bollards at all overhead doors, and number A11, which is to put a frost-proof hydrant in the building so we can use the spray off our vehicles. The total amount of that project would be $418,250. A contingency of 5% would be included for a total of $439,163.
So you're putting a contingency in?
Yes.
Okay. Questions for Jeff? Seeing no questions, a call for a vote on this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Betty?
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed? Seeing no votes, and this is, again, a unanimous vote by the committee, is passed. Our next one has to do with the Maxwell Road property having to do with easements, and need a motion by Mr. Couch, seconded by Sharon.
All right, so we're preparing the plans for Maxwell Road project that'll be undertaken next year. Part of the project will include that we need to purchase 13 temporary easements and 3 permanent easements. The permanent easements are for storm sewer outlets to empty into the natural waterways. The temporary easements are to grade yards to make them match the new sidewalk and trail better, maybe, and also to grade some driveways to make them less steep, make it easier access in and out for the residents. We had budgeted for this amount, but since we're using motor fuel tax money, we have to appropriate the funds to the board. Our current estimate is $16,200 for the total of the easements. We're asking for appropriation of $20,000 because we are negotiating with the property owners. So.
As it told us, another 16 properties, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Any questions for Jeff on this matter? Seeing no questions, call for a vote on this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nays? Seeing no nays, the resolution is adopted unanimously. Our next one has to do with the facility waste and recycling. Need a motion to get this on the floor. Motion by Mr. Windisch, seconded by Mr. Couch. Okay.
Thank you. So this was a facilities and sustainability initiative together. We did a request for bid on recycling services, waste services, and combined cost of those services by each campus that's listed in your packet. That, of course, does not include any of the satellite locations for the health and for the health department. And the main reason for doing this was really to get uniform costs that does not fluctuate month by month based on service fees, and to really have a better handle on what the true cost would be. So in your packet, you'll see the weekly cost for each of those locations. Health and Human Services is scheduled to begin, or was asked to begin, January of 2025. And that level of service is based on the health department's previous service, as well as what the coroner trash and recycling service combined into that. We only received one bid back, so the change in service level would not change. if you were to go forward with this bid, it is the recommendation of staff that we do not include the jail or juvenile detention center, simply because they are under an agreement, 90 days or 60 days, sorry, to change that agreement. But they are under an agreement that is much less expensive, and that's the reason we did the bid campus by campus instead of total service for the entire county. Overall, it's a savings of about $17,715 a year. Again, not including the health department campuses, as they'll be soon back into the HHS campus. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Coach, I got one, and it
Go
might
ahead.
be a curveball. It might be a curveball for you, Scotty. So, or maybe even Sharon could answer it, but being that us and the city own the landfill, why have we never negotiated free waste pickup in the contracts for the landfill?
Great question, Mr. Dillon. That is not something that the county board back in 2010, 11, 12 time period when landfill 3 was, the contract for landfill 3 was negotiated, that was considered or part of the negotiation. So therefore it's not in that contract, and it's not in the contract with Waste Management for the operation of landfill 2, which is from the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So because it's not in either one of those contracts, it's a service that we have to bid out occasionally and pay for.
Go ahead, Sharon.
So does that,
Excuse me. All right. I thought you were done, Jimmy. Go ahead, Jim.
well, is that fee that, I mean, it still seems like a pretty reasonable fee, but is that fee like just for the hauling, or does that include the tipping fees in there? Like, is that something we could work out where we don't charge ourselves the tipping fees to lower that cost and we're just paying for the hauling itself? I'm just trying to see if that's something that's possible, especially with everything we've gone through here recently, considering the landfill should have already been built.
Becca, you want to answer whether or not the tipping fees are included or excluded in the pricing, and then I can address the second half of it.
Right. I would say that that is part of the cost. I mean, the tipping fees would be in there. We would be receiving tipping fees on our own trash. I don't know if we can negotiate.
I think we'd have to track how much, or do a better job of accounting for how much refuse and garbage is being collected at each facility, because we're just one stop on an entire route for that truck, and the tipping fees applied to the truck when it goes over the scale.
Drew, I didn't think about. There's more than just us on the truck for the tipping fee.
Yep.
I just throwing out random ideas.
I could estimate our total trash volume by the size of the collection container, if that's something you want me to report to you. Assuming we're filling it weekly, but we may not be.
No worries. I just was asking the questions.
Are you finished, Jim?
Yeah.
Sharon?
Is there a reason why we only got one bidder?
Because you've yet to award this bid, we cannot go out and ask competition as to why they did not bid. But after you award this contract, I'd be very interested to know why competitors in this space did not bid. I know of at least 3 companies that probably could have bid in addition to the one we did receive. So, but we can't have that conversation until you act on the contract award.
No. I got a few things in my notes, but I want to ask Becca. GFL's getting the contract, on these other buildings, and you guys, you and the administration basically negotiated so that we would keep the jail and JDC at a lower rate.
They currently have a different waste hauler.
What?
They currently have an agreement with a different waste hauler.
Okay, yeah. And they are cheaper than what probably GL would have been.
Correct.
And you gave the amount of money that they were saving, and for some reason I had down 40%. Is that about right?
It depends on which building you look at.
Okay.
The courthouse, wait, I have it in front of me. The courthouse is a savings of about $13,680 a year. They're the biggest savings. Yard waste was not included in the bid just because the only yard waste facility we have is the courthouse. So that would be a separate concern. So I removed that cost from the total cost. But so the savings really is about $13,000, assuming we're going to still pay the same amount for yard waste. Oh, sorry, I lied. The savings is $12,300. The cost is $13,680. I apologize. For the courthouse and the coroner.
Did you have a question, Sharon? Yeah. Go ahead.
So did we subtract or add any facilities to what we are currently paying them, because they are aren't they our current hauler?
They are our current hauler for most locations. The jail and JDC not included. We did not ask for new contracts for epidemiology, clinical services, the California location. Veterans Assistance Commission is dropping because now that they're in their new location, garbage and recycling are covered by their landlord, and also Emergency Management Association, which may retain trash. What they had prior was like a dumpster. I mean, not a dumpster, but like a tote that was serviced, infrequently, but serviced.
Okay, so it's less facilities.
It is less facilities, yes. So the overall cost total last year for both waste haulers was over $50,000, $50,275, and $41,375 went to this hauler that's fitting this contract. 2023, yes, last year.
Any other questions? No other questions? I'll call for a vote on this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Whoops, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed? Aye, we have one nay, and resolution has been adopted to send on to the regular county board. Give me a second here to get my papers together. Okay. Next resolution we have is the remodeling of probation. Need a motion to put that on the floor, please. Motion by Sharon, seconded by Matt.
Yes, this is approval seeking from Dewberry to provide architect and consulting services for the probation remodel. Back in 24, we were using two fund sources that were approved at $60,000 from probation, and from the general fund of $300,000, or excuse me, $60,000 for both probation services in the general fund and $300,000 in the capital projects fund. The proposed fee from Dewberry's is $127,000. This would entail the phasing of the project into fiscal year 25 budget. So we have a total of $360,000 and asking for approval for 127.
Questions? Questions from anybody on the committee?
I have one, Coach.
Terry?
Just want to clarify that the Dewberry fee is for a complete design of the entire office space. However, the actual implementation of that design may be phased in over more than one fiscal year, correct?
The design will be for the complete project, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Trying to get my phone shut off. Okay, any other questions? I didn't do a very good job, did I? You can all laugh at me. No other questions? I call for a vote on this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's hard sometimes as a chairman to remember we got people calling in and all those opposed? Ayes have it. And we'll move on to our next thing, and I think it's going to be from our Highway Department. We've heard about this before, and we'll get some more explanation of it, and we'll have Mr. Gillis doing the report to us. Thank you, Mr. Gillis.
Thank you. Annually, we need to provide the public an ability to provide input regarding our national pollution discharge and elimination system. Basically, this is our storm sewer system that outlets into the waters of the state. In 2019, we had an audit, and we had to fix a few things on the audit. We have one violation that remains in place, which is that the county is not prohibited through ordinance or other regulatory mechanism non-stormwater discharges in the county storm sewer system, and to implement appropriate enforcement procedures and actions and a program to respond to such discharges in a timely manner. After the meeting last year, I was asked to reach out to other surrounding counties to see if they had an ordinance in place, and none of them did. So we are not alone in not having an ordinance in place. So.
Questions for Jeff? And would you say that most of the other counties are similar to us?
Correct.
I'd be no other questions. We'll move on. And our next thing has to do with public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Okay, miscellaneous. Anybody for miscellaneous? Don't forget, we got that project that's going to be coming up for us in June, and or the committee that is pretty much responsible. I hope if you can't be there, maybe you can get somebody to fill in for you, and we're going to go out there and work on cleaning up a road that we adopted a number of years ago, and we'll try to do it early enough so that the heat doesn't get to us. Anybody else with miscellaneous? Being no other business, this meeting is adjourned.